If you're trying to decide between new construction and a resale home in Las Cruces, this is where most buyers get stuck. And it's not because one is better than the other, but because no one explains the real trade-offs. So today I'm breaking them down side by side so you can figure out which one actually fits your life, your budget, and your timeline. I'm Elaine, and I can help you get situated here in Las Cruces. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, people looking for their next home, and people relocating to our beautiful city of Las Cruces. I hear this question often: should I buy new or try a resale home? Let me break down the pros and cons of both. So, I'll tell you why buyers get stuck. It's because it does look very simple online, but it feels a little bit more complicated once you start doing the thing. New home always feels a little bit safe, but resale tends to have a little bit more flexibility. At least I think so. But the reality that it comes down to is what the numbers look like to you. First off, it's really easy to see online prices, like whenever you're looking to build a house from scratch. Prices starting in the 300s, you're all like, oh my God, wow, 300 for a new home. No, starting in the 300s can be anywhere from 300 to 400. But that is just the base price. When in reality, what your little heart desires might be more like a 450,000 house. And I see it often. People want a huge corner lot with a gourmet kitchen, a big backyard, fully landscaped, a beautiful walk-in shower with, I don't know, like water spewing from everywhere, 3-car garage. All those things add up so fast. But people fear repairs when it comes to resales and overpaying when it comes to new. What you need to look at is what your budget looks like, okay? So too much information is sometimes not clear enough, okay? What is the price? What does the price include? And are these prices negotiable? People just really want to know what the final number is and what that looks like monthly. I know that's what I wanted to know when I was looking for my home, right? So here's where decision paralysis occurs. My advice is look at all your options. Both new and resale are good. When it comes to buying a brand new house, you aren't seeing the cost of what it's going to cost you to landscape the backyard because you're getting a blank canvas. Most of the time, it doesn't come with blinds. It doesn't come with a refrigerator, no washer and dryer. Those little things, $2,000, $3,000 at a time, it does add up. These are costs to you after you close on the house, not to include your down payment, not to include your closing costs. When you're looking at a resale home and beautiful homes, most of them already come with that. In the contract, you're going to have to ask for washer, dryer, you're going to have to ask for the refrigerator, and that's fine. But most of the time, the landscaping may already be done. Maybe you look at something gorgeous that you like and it just calls your name. We can negotiate some of those items, and then of course, if it's landscape, it's already a plus. So these are the little things that a lot of my buyers don't consider when they're looking at new homes. It's how much more money do you have to put it to make this home feel home, right? All right, let's talk about new construction and what that price really means. Base price is nowhere near the final price. Just tells you what prices start at in a certain area. Base means exactly that. It's basic. In a house means basic carpets in the rooms, maybe even in the living area, because getting tile in there might be an upgrade. Might not even come with quartz or granite. It might be Formica. Those little things add up as well. Sometimes the builder might offer an incentive, but most of the time, if you are building from scratch, that means you're walking into the builder's office and you're saying, this is a floor plan I want. Nothing is included in these prices. So you do need to consider closing costs. Let's say if you're bringing in the down payment and closing costs are an extra $5,000 to $7,000, but you want this builder to include those, you're gonna have to raise the price. And these are mostly if you're building from scratch. While resale prices are a little bit more negotiable, it's also depending on the situation of the seller. Now, if you get a new home that is already built, which is what we call specs, you might be able to get more incentives. You might not be able to get the price down because builders don't want to bring down the price of their homes, but they will give you an incentive. So instead of bringing down the price by $10,000, they might say, hey, we'll give you a $10,000 seller credit. What would you like to do with it? Do you want to pay for the Closing costs. Do you want to landscape your backyard? Do you want a refrigerator, washer, dryer? All of those things. Those are incentives that the builder might actually offer you, which is not a bad trade-off. So they will say, no, I'm not bringing down the price, but I will give you an incentive. And then you can do whatever it is your please, as long as it's not going towards the down payment. But that is the story from the lender. Okay. Let's talk about lot premiums a little bit more, because a lot of people don't realize that whenever you get corner lots, mountain view sizes, or like super big lots, they tend to go up in price, and that's where your price really jumps. Here, we have beautiful mountains, 50 to 100,000 in certain areas. People love their mountain views. And same goes for corner lots, because you get to pick how many neighbors you have around you, and I completely understand that. Me, I'd rather have mountain views than a corner lot. Also, you have to look at structural upgrades versus the things that also add up in a home when you are building from scratch. The kitchen. Here, I don't know if you guys have heard about gourmet kitchens. They're a big thing in newer builds now, where you have your cooktop stove and then the stacked microwave and oven. You have these beautiful glass walk-in showers, and people like to do luxurious tiles, fireplaces, outdoor kitchens. All of those do add up, and sometimes you can find all of those things in a resale for cheaper than adding all of those features to a base price on a new home. Okay, so it's just like a little give and take. You might be giving up a brand new, fresh, small house, but then you get everything, right? Landscaping, fencing, window coverings. Often it's a lot of extra things that the builders do not include. Okay, let's talk a little bit about HOA fees and how common they are in new builds. Now, we don't have a ton of places with HOA fees, but they are becoming a lot more common. A lot of these new subdivisions they're building, they have parks and little recreation activities for kids, and they're built next to golf courses and all of that. So even though we don't have high HOA fees, you're starting to see them a lot more. We do have gated communities with a little bit higher HOA fees. Unless you're looking for a condo with a pool and a gym and all of that, you're looking maybe anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a year, which is not bad. One thing that I do see with brand new builds are impact fees. They're paid to the city as part of your utility bill. When you close on a home, depending on which part of the city you live in, which subdivision, they'll tell you like you have $1,000 of impact fees or $2,000 of impact fees. Once you go and you set up utilities, you can pay it with a small monthly fee, but you do have to pay those in full. It's just something to watch out for in new builds. If you're buying a resale and the house is less than 5 years old, those impact fees might still exist. Owner of the home might still be paying those impact fees, but you can negotiate it for the seller to pay off their impact fees before the new ownership comes through. It is a bit more rare to see the builders pick those up, because they also have to pay some type of fees already when the house is getting built. But it depends on who the builder is and how much they want to get rid of a certain house. They may actually pick up the bill for those. If you're buying towards the end of the year, they're throwing a whole bunch of incentives. I'm not going to lie, that's where you get most bang for your buck, is towards the end of a month, a quarter, or a year. It's like trying to sell cars, right? They're trying to get things off their lot. Builders are trying to get rid of homes. Let's talk a little bit more about builder incentives and how they actually work. You have closing cost credits. This all depends on the type of new build you're getting and whether you're building from scratch or getting a spec already built. It's very hard to negotiate closing costs paid for by the seller on something you are planning to build. You can certainly build it into the price and get the money back for closing costs. Most of the time, you can put together the down payment and closing cost in the next 6 to 8 months while the house is getting right. So if you're buying a spec home and the house is ready to go, the price is set, and sometimes they're offering incentive to give you on top of that, which is really nice. This is easier to get towards the end of the month, the quarter, or the year. The downside of buying a spec home is that everything is already picked out for you. You don't get to custom build your home. Interest rate buy downs and how you can use these seller credits for interest rates. Some builders here will offer enough for you to pay your closing costs and pay something towards a rate buy down. A rate buy down is you paying upfront money. Let's say interest rates are 6%, and you pay 1% of the price to bring it down a quarter of a point. So now you're paying a little extra. Let's say it's costing you $5,000 to bring your 6% to a 5.75. So once the lender runs the numbers and it tells you, yeah, like this is how long it's going to take you to pay off that, you want to see if that makes sense for you. The trick here is to really talk to your lender to see what makes sense and what's going to offset the mortgage payment if you plan on living in the house or keeping it long term. Don't pay all these upfront costs if the house is a 2-year home for you. If you're going to 2-3 years, you're going to be somewhere else. If you plan on living in the house for a long time or using it as a rental, you're going to continue to pay that mortgage. I think rate buy downs are great, especially if you're not the one paying for it. If it's a builder or a seller and you're getting money towards that, not coming out of your pocket, I think they are great. And then when it comes to preferred lenders, ask the builder if they are working with a specific lender to get a better rate. Sometimes they offer these great incentives only if you work with a very specific lender. Personally, I don't love this, but there are some instances that it is a really good deal. But I always ask if they will offer an incentive, even if you work with a lender of your choice, because sometimes you can get the same rate as your preferred lender, plus work in on the incentive and get an even better interest rate. And this is honestly why working with a realtor that knows the market, not just the homes, but also lender and the rates is so important. Because I know that 2 different mortgage companies can offer completely different rates. So I think it's very important to explore all the options because every scenario is different for every single client. Incentives can help your monthly payment, not just the purchase price. Buying down the rate can help your monthly mortgage a lot, but don't expect builders to come down on price. So if they're offering money to you, take it and try to get a better rate if they're not coming down on price. Then really all comes down to the value of the area. The reason that they don't come down on price a lot is because if you're buying this house for $400 here, right, and they're dropping it to $390 for you, then all of a sudden the value of the next homes that they're building, even that little tiny bit of $10,000 makes a big difference when it trickles down to the other home. Technically, what they're trying to do is keep the value of the homes in the area, which you as a homeowner in that area will benefit a lot. They will give you money back for closing costs, buying down your rate, but they won't often budge on price. Look at the short-term benefit and the long-term benefit, and that's a conversation you want to make sure that you have with your lender. If for whatever reason, sometimes you get very big incentives, let's say like $30,000. If buying down your rate does not make sense to you, you can certainly use that. You can put money into the home itself, whether it's landscaping, a refrigerator, washer, or dryer, water osmosis treatment, softener, whatever. These things really cost. Like a water softener system's $8,000. If the builder's paying for you to put that into your home, go right ahead. These are expenses that otherwise would come out of your pocket. Keep money in the bank instead of spending it. Spend their money, not yours. All right, let's talk a little bit about warranties and maintenance on new constructions. Most of the builders will offer 1-year workmanship coverage. I really do love those warranties because if anything happens that first year, all you have to do is submit a request and they come in and fix it. You would expect for nothing to go wrong the first year. It's brand new, right? But let's be honest, homes are man-made and things will go wrong. It's normal. The warranty is a peace of mind to make sure to ask what all the warranties entail for the house that you're buying, okay? So the systems and the warranties on the systems, you have like your HVAC, plumbing, electrical. Sometimes these have a 1 year with the builder and then they go a little bit longer with the manufacturer. Everything is brand new, so make sure you are registering all your systems and get everything you can without spending your own money. Sometimes the warranties on your HVAC might go 3 to 5 years. Same with your water heater. So those are things to look out for. Make sure that they leave you everything organized. Make sure that you are registering. What I do see often is the structural warranties are about 10 years. This includes cracks on your walls, cracks on your rock walls, retaining walls, cracks on your concrete. Often you will see minor concerns because the home will settle, but it's good to keep an eye out. I have seen disastrous things like tiles being broken in a home. Builders come in and 2 years later come in and replace. It does happen, okay? So new builds bring lower maintenance early on, and most items are covered. If you don't know what is covered, Just ask. I have seen full rooms of tile get replaced. I have seen windows get replaced a year in. So if you don't know, just ask. They might tell you yes, even after a year. Repairs still happen on new homes. When it comes to these repairs, you will be spending a lot less upfront, especially that first year trying to get used to your mortgage payment. But here's where the new construction trade-off really happens. Build times can change. Just because they tell you 6 months doesn't mean it's going to be 6 months. Here in Las Cruces, most of the time it's anywhere from 6 to 8 months, unless it's a super custom build. It can also affect your rates. I have seen both sides of the spectrums where clients looked at rates early on and might have built up a little bit if the rates increased in case their mortgage payment was going to be higher. Ended up being a super significant price increase. I've seen people not qualify anymore after rates came up so high. I've also seen rates drop where your mortgage payment may be a lot less than what you expected. There is no crystal ball telling us what the market is going to do. Most of the time, you can't lock in a rate until the house is a couple of months from being built. And in the chance that you can lock in a rate early, it may be costing you money. So make sure that you talk to your lender and see what they think. Once again, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen, but we can foresee if you think rates are going to go up, make sure you have a little bit of cushion and hope for the best. That's all we can do. Like I said before, you don't have a lot of room to negotiate the price. Builders don't want to price drop in certain areas, so they will incentivize, but not always negotiate. Another drawback, and this is a temporary drawback, is that neighborhoods also feel very unfinished. And it all depends on when you build and when you start. Is it at the beginning of the subdivision or towards the end of the subdivision? Other may be going on at the same time as you're moving in. So that first year, you may be hearing a lot of construction trucks early in the morning, not a lot of space in the streets, and a lot of obstructed views. Eventually, that will end. Once a subdivision or a street is done, it's done, and it just might be annoying for a few months, but then you get your peace back. I'm going to touch up on HOAs again. I love to entertain. So for me, living in a gated community would not work out. If people are parking out and it doesn't align with the HOAs, you want to make sure that that the rules that they set, that you can follow them. People want their big lots to park an RV outside. Does the HOA allow that? Little things just for future reference. I also have people that get into design regret after moving in. Fortunately, a lot of builders have come a long way when it comes to designing plans, especially open floor plans. But I still see some designs meant for, I don't know, maybe 2 people, 1 person and a dog. Make sure you plan how your furniture is going to be set up front. If you can see a floor plan that is similar to what you want to build, please do it, okay? This is an investment whether you are planning to keep it or sell it. It has to work long term either for you or for selling it to someone else. More square footage doesn't always mean more space. I have seen it completely the other way around. Sometimes layouts are not that good. Look at every angle. So for example, my current home, I absolutely fell in love with. My living room had this beautiful round wall. If I only bought round couches, right? Not like the square, but only like the round couches. I found this sectional that was square that I completely fell in love with, and I bought. I thought I would be okay. I'm like, it might take a foot off. My God, I made the biggest mistake. It took up so much of my living room. I ended up having to spend the extra money to bring out my wall from the round and make it square. Now, would it have been easier to just exchange my couches and get me some round recliners? Yes, or a round sectional. But my point is that once I brought that wall out, it spaced it out. Now I can do one type of sectional or the other type of sectional. I have a toddler and I needed the space. I fell in love with the way it looked, but it wasn't the best when it came to certain changes. And now I do miss my round wall a lot, but making it square has been the best decision ever. It's just giving, like maybe half a foot has given me so much more room in that living room. It's crazy. But I do miss my round wall. Okay, let's talk about resale homes and where the value really shows up. When buying a resale home, you tend to be in more established neighborhoods. Look at everything you can to make your decision. I am a lover of established neighborhoods. Homes have changed a lot in the last 10 years. So if you drive through a neighborhood that is about 10 years old, homes were a lot more colorful, a lot more custom. You used to see all kinds of different landscaping. Now I go through a lot of these brand new subdivisions and they're very monotone. You see a lot of grays and desert colors, and a lot of the houses look the same. Personally, that's not me. I wanted to buy a house where my neighbor's house was not the same. It's different builders because you'd have different builders buy different lots, and everybody was a little bit different. Once again, I had to go back and buy a house that was about 10 years old to find what I liked. I liked the mature trees. There are those trade-offs. Larger lots in Las Cruces, at least, are also in those older subdivisions. Yards are much bigger, where back in the day, they used to build houses that were wide, so you'd have a wide backyard. Now they build houses long to be able to stack more. Builders are just trying to build more and more homes in less space. It's just the way that it is. So if you want more space without having to spend a ton more money, older may just be the way to go. Plus, in older homes, you're gonna find adobe homes, more charm. One of the things I do realize is those high ceilings were not a thing back in the day in those homes. If you don't mind having the very high ceilings, then it's okay. But if you walk into a new home and you realize ceilings are like 12 feet, it makes a huge difference in how a room looks. Open floor plans weren't a big thing. Your kitchen, living area, and a separate dining room, and now in one room. People like different things. Be aware, if you're going for an older home, those are the things you're gonna find more often versus in a newer home. More space, but there's a lot of trade-offs unless you really want to spend a lot of money. Another thing is all the mature landscaping and trees. I love homes that already have a backyard landscape because it's expensive, especially if you're trying to do grass and turf. So I like mature trees. I've got 2 palm trees. They're huge. When I bought this house, they were tiny. If you look at a resale home and you find that's already has a landscape, trust me, you have saved yourself quite a bit of money. Personally, I like turf. It stays green all year round, and I don't have to water it. Water isn't crazy expensive here in Las Cruces, but all of those little things add up. If I don't have to spend more than I have to, trust me, I won't. You also have more negotiating power. It's all going to come down to the circumstances of the seller. How long has the house been on the market? What are the reasons that the seller is selling? Are they moving out of town? Are they trying to buy another home? Like it's all on circumstance. Okay, so I always say if a house is on the market, it's negotiable. Okay, I'm not saying that the house that just popped up, you're going to be able to negotiate very much, but you won't know until you offer. Those are some of the offsets that you're not going to get with a brand new build. But you can still do the same thing as far as if you want to get seller credits. You can also ask for a seller credit from an actual owner. You can also ask for a seller credit for buy downs from an actual owner. It works the same. I feel like resales are a little bit more negotiable. And honestly, what it all comes down to is timelines. If you have the time to build, then build. The nice thing about resales is that you can be in the house in 30 to 60 days, even spec homes. If we're writing up the contracts, we can give you a deadline on when that house will be closed if everything runs smoothly with the lender. So let's say you wanted to be in a certain house by Valentine's Day, right? Is it possible? Yes, absolutely. If you are on a timeline or you have to be on the job by a certain day, your kids have to be in school by a certain day. If you're doing resales, there's more flexibility in being able to be in the home by a certain time. Another thing to look at with resales is inspections. Now, I have a lot of clients freak out on inspections, and I always try to prepare, but there's no preparing with a marked up red inspection report. When it comes to home inspections, remember the inspector has to put absolutely everything on there. Okay. Just because an inspection report comes in big doesn't mean that it's really bad. It just means the house needs a little bit of TLC, the house needs some maintenance. Sometimes, as long as it's not a roof issue, that's going to be super expensive, or like super expensive items. I think most of those are easy to move through. You can negotiate repairs with the seller. You can get a seller credit for them to do repairs. There's so many options. And right now, with where the market is, a lot of these things are getting fixed. Now, I'm not going to tell you they're going to fix 100% of the things that are on the inspection report, but you can know what is going on with this house. You can ask for the bigger and higher end items to get fixed. And if they don't, then you can walk away. One thing that I like to include in my buyer offers is a third-party home warranty. just because it gives you that peace of mind the first year. If there's anything that's going to happen, it is covered under that warranty. You may have to pay a small fee, say, I don't know, $70 to $100, but the repair the item or they will replace it. So let's say your water heater gives out, I don't know, 3 months into being in the home, but it wasn't an issue when you moved in. Those things run up to $1,000, maybe more. But with a third-party home warranty, you just pay for them to come and they either repair it or replace it. So that's a nice little perk on things that you can do with resales. Another thing to look in these resale homes is older systems. Just because they're old doesn't mean they're bad. Some people take really good care of their stuff. Let's take a water heater. Sometimes you can see a water heater that's 10 or 15 years old, but the thing works just fine. The current owner was probably flushing it every year. So people maintenance stuff, it will last a lifetime. But it's always good to know the age of things, especially roofs, because an old roof will run your home insurance a little bit higher. Always make sure that you know the year of the roof before you decide to put an offer on a house. Let's talk about seller credit versus repair credits. These are two completely different things. Seller credits can help you with buying down your rate and paying your closing costs. When it comes to inspections, repairs, all of that, strategy matters more than perfection. We have to strategize up front, especially after we have the home inspection. It is important to take everything thoroughly. Moving forward, some clients do freak out. But a lot of these costs do not have to be out of pocket. We can negotiate repairs. We can negotiate repair credits. New is new and shiny. Resale tends to be a little bit more concerning, but it does not have to be if you do things right. New construction usually fits best for buyers who want a little bit more predictability when it comes to budgeting. It's lower short-term maintenance. They have more modern layouts. Energy efficiency can be better. And they're comfortable with waiting for a home to get built. Resale is usually best for buyers who want a certain location or lot size, need more flexibility or a faster closing. They're okay with doing repairs afterwards or have the money or people that know established neighborhoods matter when it comes to resale homes. I do want to make sure that my buyers are very comfortable with the process because it's a lifestyle, honestly. Budgeting, we want to make sure that you're comfortable with the payment. Timeline has to be clear, and maintenance of a home. There is no right answer whether you should buy new or you should buy a resale home. I say look at everything. Make a list of the things that you want in a home. Look at all the houses, new and resales, that have those amenities and see where that flexibility lies. I love older charm, but sometimes I have clients that are more comfortable with buying brand new because they want the warranties. They don't want to be spending money out of pocket right away. So educate yourself, walk through all of your options calmly, and make sure that your home fits your lifestyle. So please subscribe to my channel. I promise I will be a lot better about posting these videos. I try to be as real as I can when it comes to life in Las Cruces, buying a home, and all the things that I feel like have mattered to my clients in the past. I will have all my information linked below. I will also add a relocation guide and a checklist of items if you are buying that you should be aware whether you're buying new or resale.